Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where we talk all things health and healing from a holistic perspective. And today will be no different. Today, we're going to talk about kidney function. Now, I know you may be thinking to yourself, well, I don't have a problem with my kidneys today. Okay. Now, the reason this is important for you, even if you don't have a problem with your kidneys can become insufficient in terms of their function. And as a result of that, you can start to see some of these symptoms that I'm going to talk about in just a second. But it's also important to note that 35 million Americans are affected with chronic kidney disease every year, and 90% of them do not know that they have it. So by the time you're stage 4, it's too late. Like, you're trying to get on this donor list and you didn't even have an opportunity to actually improve the maintenance and the use of your kidneys. Okay, so this is why it's so important. Instead of being reactive when you get the diagnosis, I always say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cures. Okay, so this is not only important for those who have issues with their kidneys, this is also important for every individual who wants to maintain the function of their kidneys. Okay, so as I mentioned before, 35 million Americans are affected with chronic kidney disease every year, and 90% of them do not know it. Okay, and most people don't even understand how important the kidneys is because they don't understand all of the functions of the kidneys. But the kidneys are important for waste removal, so removing things like uric acid and anything that needs to be filtered out of the blood, for that matter. Okay, but if you don't filter out the uric acid that we call urine, then you become what's called hyperuricemic. When you become hyperuricemic, you will be inflamed systemically all over your body, but you will also have elevated blood pressure as well too. All right, but the kidneys are also important for fluid balance in the body, so preventing fluid buildup in the body. So you'll notice people who have issues with fluid building up or edema in the lower limbs, but that fluid can even back up into the lungs as well too, and you'll have issues with breathing. The kidneys are also responsible for converting vitamin D from its inactive form to its active form as well too. All right. And it's also very key in terms of like red blood cell production. And we all know how important red blood cells are as well too. So the kidneys are very important. And unfortunately, if you don't take care of them, you lose the function of them, especially in today's society where everything is geared in terms of making you a patient and making you a customer when it comes to the food supply, our healthcare system, unfortunately. All right, so what I want to do now is give you a few tips that's going to help you maintain your kidney function, and then I'll give you a few herbs and some foods that'll help as well too. Not only you, but if there's somebody in your family who is struggling with this, somebody that you're noticing some of the symptoms, having issues with low vitamin D, fluid balance in the body, high blood pressure, the list goes on, then this could be probably their issue. Okay, first things first. Stay hydrated. When you are dehydrated, it makes it very difficult for the kidneys to be able to do their job. So you got to be hydrated at all times. I always say, and I say this in my book, being dehydrated is being in a state of emergency. Because as soon as you're dehydrated, you have to understand, our bodies are roughly 70 to 80% water. So being dehydrated with one of the main constituents of what we make up our physical body, it could cause a huge issue. Okay, so it's really important to understand you have to stay hydrated. So you probably have to be intentional about that because your thirst sensor is probably off. Okay, so being intentional about making sure you stay hydrated. Number 2, eat clean, you stay clean. All right, if you eat dirty, you're overworking your kidneys. Not only your liver, but also your kidneys as well too. And the more you eat of certain things that make the blood thicker, more toxic, you're not only overworking the kidneys, but you're also damaging the kidneys as well too. All right. So just imagine trying to force, 200 pounds of pressure of a fluid through a space that's only designed for 100 pounds of pressure. Okay, so that's exactly what's happening in a roundabout way when you think about the kidneys. They're just being overworked, okay? So stay clean when it comes to eating. That means eating real food, and real food that's not tainted with chemicals, okay? Staying away from the processed foods. Number 3, stay away from the painkillers, okay? Taking painkillers, especially consistently, can damage your kidneys. And this is something that is well known in the medical community, but unfortunately people pop over the counter, even over the counter painkillers. People pop them like they're as if they're like ice cubes, and they can't cause any damage. And people end up damaging their kidneys, and they didn't know about it because they were just popping these painkillers, either prescription or over the counter. Okay. Be aware if you're noticing at your checkup. Another tip: elevated blood sugars, because the higher your blood sugar is, think of this. When you're eating natural foods, it is very difficult to elevate your blood sugar, okay? Natural whole foods. I'm not talking about refined carbohydrates that look natural. I'm not talking about a whole bunch of grains. I'm not talking about seed oils. I'm not talking about any real food. When you eat real food, it is very difficult to elevate your blood sugar, okay? If you're eating a diverse diet of real foods, okay? So when you're eating foods that are not real, you're eating a whole lot of unnatural sugars and unnatural salts. And these unnatural sugars and salt, which side by side, if you will look at a grain of salt and a grain of sugar, you wouldn't be able to differentiate. But in the body, when they break down, they look like little shards of glass because they're unnatural. And they're essentially like knifing the inside blood vessels inside of your kidneys. Okay, so be aware of refined salts that are commonly put in most processed foods, unfortunately used at most restaurants. And as I said before in other videos, there's over 200 names for sugars these days, and none of them are natural in most cases. Okay. The next thing I mentioned, make sure that you don't have high uric acid levels. Okay. Now, high uric acid levels comes from an unhealthy diet, but also it could come from certain drugs as well too. So certain diuretic drugs that you take, certain immune suppressors that quite often we see people with lupus and autoimmune conditions take. Also niacin, so vitamin B3 supplement that people take as well too, could cause hyperuricemia as well too. And then also foods high in purines, so foods like red meat, seafood, etc., could also cause elevated hyperuricemia as well too. And just think about it, when you're hyperuricemic, it means that the uric acid is high, and that uric acid is in the kidney. So just imagine the tissues of the kidneys just sitting in this vat of acid. Okay, of course that's going to degenerate the tissues, cause an irritation, cause inflammation, then an irritation, then tissue dysfunction, and then finally tissue degeneration. Okay, so it's really important to make sure that you're not doing things that elevate the uric acid levels in the body, okay, or make you hyperuricemic. Exercising, very important, because now you're getting the blood to flow, okay? Not only through the kidneys, but through the entire body as well too. And making sure you consume foods that are high in potassium, which is good for the kidneys as well too. So coconut water is good, avocados is good as well too. All right, now let me name a few other herbs and foods, and then we're gonna get out of here for today. So dandelion root and leaf. So the root and the leaf of the dandelion is good for the kidneys because it's a diuretic, and it also promotes waste elimination. Okay, so the quicker you can get that waste out, the less that it will accumulate acidity into the kidneys and cause inflammation, irritation, and damage to the kidney tissues. Okay, number 2, watermelon juice. Now, if you don't already have any issues with your blood sugars, you could do this. So I love watermelon juice, but I only consume it during the season. So right now it's like September, so the season is over. So no watermelon juice for me. So this wouldn't be an option for me at this particular time. But the good thing about watermelon juice is that A, is a diuretic, a natural diuretic. Okay, so it's a natural diuretic, but it does this diuresis without straining the kidneys like alcohol or caffeine, a caffeinated beverage would do to the kidneys. Okay, so people will say like, I like coffee because it makes me go to the bathroom, but it also dehydrates you too and strains the kidneys. Okay. The next sort of food I'll give you is sorrel, okay, also known as hibiscus. And you can combine your sorrel with some ginger as well too, which is anti-inflammatory. Do not add sugar to it. Like I've just been mentioning before, sugar is part of the problem when it comes to the kidneys. Okay, so you do not want to add sugar to it. So I know, especially my Caribbean people, love to make some sorrel with the sugar added to it. No sugar, because this is for kidney health, okay? But sorrel has been shown to be a diuretic and healthy for the kidneys as well too. Also cucumbers. Cucumbers are good because they flush out the kidneys, and they also support fluid and electrolyte balance as well too, okay? I'll even make cucumber juice. And again, like I'll make cucumber juice with some lime and a little bit of ginger. Boom. Okay. You can either cut up slices of cucumber and just put that in your water, and that'll be your cucumber water. Or you could just do like I do and eat the cucumber. Okay. All of the above work, and you can do all of the above. All right. The other thing that is good for the kidneys is liquid fasting. Okay. If you could tolerate liquids, and I'm saying this because some people at a certain stage of kidney dysfunction aren't able to tolerate liquids. So doing a liquid fast wouldn't be for those people, okay? But I do a liquid fast at least once a week. And during that liquid fast, I'm doing water, coconut water, herbal teas, and green juices, okay, for that whole day, okay? So periodically doing some liquid fasts are good too, because now you're not eating cooked food, you're not eating a lot of food that is putting a lot of pressure on the digestive system, but also the kidney as well too. And also, all the things that I'm drinking are also helping to flush the kidneys as well too. Make sense? And the last thing I'll tell you in terms of like kidney health that I think is really important is doing these exercises that they do in Qigong practice or Qigong practice, either way how you pronounce it, where when you wake up in the morning, you kind of slapping gently the areas where your kidneys are. So your kidneys are right here behind your back, okay? So in the seat of your back, right here on both sides, you have two kidneys because you need to filter both sides of your body, all right? And when you're waking up in the morning, show your kidneys some love. Just give yourself some light pats to wake your kidneys up, all right? Every morning, switch it up. One side at a time, and then both sides. That'll get your kidneys stimulated, okay? This is sort of like a Qigong practice or Qigong. All right, so those are the things that could help to get your kidneys jump started. All right, so if you have somebody out there who is struggling with their kidney health, struggling with high blood pressure, struggling with fluid balance in the body, this could be useful to them. So please share the video. And until the next time, peace and blessings and Godspeed.